How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm your host Frenzy, and we have some big news. The big news is that Wizard101 is finally getting a console port coming in PlayStation, Xbox, and also the Nintendo Switch, which is really huge. However, while there is a lot of enthusiasm, I would say definitely hold your horses with this one. It does not seem to be as great as it makes it out to be. And part of it could be because it seems like it's still around developing stages, but we'll get more into it later on in this video. Here we have an article from KingsIsle talking about the console port that's coming through. The PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch versions will exist on one newer server, allowing players to enjoy cross-play with other consoles. Notice how I never really mentioned anything about being cross-play with the PC port. That's definitely one of the red flags for me. And this is because Wizard101 has a very dedicated fan base with the PC port. This is going to be where most of the population comes from. Now, the idea of this is most likely to bring in a new audience to Wizard101 and its community. But the problem lies is that because it's not crossplay with the PC port, then they don't really get to meet the PC portion of the community, the most dedicated portion of the fan base. The other thing as well is, like Alexander Lionheart states, is that this needs to be cross-platform, but also Arc 1 free. Otherwise, the paywall is going to make this dead on arrival. That's the second issue. The second issue is the fact that there is a paywall for this game, and the paywall is extremely early. It's very early. And it basically gives you maybe an hour and a half of playtime, and then you just kind of see what else you're going to do, because chances are you're probably not going to be paying for the membership. Now, there might be a small minority that will, but I just don't really think it's enough for them to be enticed to pay for the membership model in Wizard101. And one of the biggest issues of concern when it comes towards the paywall is really just the fact that it's really lacking in the free-to-play experience. And there's been hints about the free-to-play experience coming for 2 years now. I made a video making a guide for Arc 1 because at the time there was one of the first few experiments from KingsIsle to potentially expand the paywall, expand the free-to-play experience, and it was for Arc 1. That was the original plan. And made a video because I was really enthusiastic. I was really happy, even though it doesn't necessarily affect me personally. I was just happy that this could potentially really bring in those new players to just give the game a try and potentially maybe grow the community a lot more. Unfortunately, after all this said and done, the free-to-play thing kind of just comes and goes. We had that, and then we had Free Wizard City, and then we had Free Wiz and Croc, which honestly, just remove those two. We don't care about those. We want a Arc 1 free. That's what we're asking for. That's what the community has been asking for. The good stuff that came from it is the temporary free membership, like during the 12 Days of the Spiral, which is basically like the Christmas time. There was one during summer, and there also is one during their anniversary time, which came more often, which I think is a good thing. I think it's fantastic. Its first launch wasn't really the best because it was very specific to current players, and then they realized, oh damn, we actually wanted this for newer players instead. So okay, we'll make it for anybody who makes an account during this time. We'll pretty much make it open to everyone. And with that being said, it was doing relatively well. Players were really happy about it. Players who used to play the game and then ditched the game were returning because, oh yeah, it's free, might as well come back, see what I missed. And it was great. But ever since then, during those 2 years, nothing has really been said about the potential expansion of the paywall or the expansion of the free-to-play experience. And that's one of my biggest worries. With Arc 1 being free, you will be able to do so much more things by that time, because now you have a better experience about the Wizard101 basic combat system. You'll be able to do PvP, like Masters League basically, around the level 40s level. Keep in mind, Arc 1 is like around level 50. You'll have lots to do within that time. Within the free-to-play experience, you'll be able to do some other endgame content like Decathlon, Portal of Peril, Beast Moon, which basically requires you to have some fundamental knowledge of Wiz combat. But the fact that we don't have it, the fact that the paywall is still like not even the end of Wizard City. The paywall is basically at like a third of Wizard City, which is like maybe 10 or 11 levels, and that's just not enough. It's not enough for people to be enticed to play it more. And we go back to the issue that other, console players are going to be comparing it to other games. They're going to see what other games do better, and most likely I could see the console ports getting very negative reviews because of that paywall. And Steam had an issue as well where, it wasn't necessarily, cross progression. It was cross-platform with the, original PC port from the original engine of Wizard101, but the fact that it wasn't cross-progression was definitely a negative for the PC players. But at the same time, at the very least, if you were to make an account there, you at least were able to still play with other PC players. So it was definitely pretty decent, even though it had its flaws. Unfortunately, with the console port, it's only going to be for the console players only. It's going to be its own server for only console players, and the population is going to be extremely small. And I would say the population will keep dwindling as long as KI does nothing about the free-to-play expansion. If they don't take this serious, it's going to most likely be dead on arrival. And there's some other things to note as well. A friend of mine basically pointed this out, I guess during a discussion within the Wizard101 Discord server, and it says this here. Number one, there is no crossplay between console and PC. That sucks. They don't know if you can transfer to console. They also don't know how the payment model is going to work. All consoles will share the same services, which we already explained that before. Devs have mentioned that they're still figuring out the legal and development options. Number 6, anything is subject to change, which that's potentially can be good news, because maybe they can change their mind about the cross-platform part. Maybe they'll allow all the console players to play with the PC players, so we'll have a way bigger community that's a lot closer together, and more importantly, just more people to play with, which is the ideal situation. Because even the PC port suffers from a lot of like the older worlds typically don't have as much people playing, and it just kind of sucks trying to find questing buddies within the older worlds. They did some things to try to fix it, but of course, one of the best ways to fix this issue is by having just a bigger general population of players playing the game. Number 7, this is not taking development away from Wizard101 PC. They are getting outside help for this port, and that's kind of good for the PC players. I would say, based on like these points, chances are the console port is still kind of early. It's too early to tell as to when this is coming. It most likely may not be coming within this year. I will hope not. I will hope it doesn't come this year, unless they do something drastically different with the free-to-play experience, and finally allowing, at the very minimum, crossplay with the PC port. But let me know what you guys think. Me personally, if they were to release this, like, assuming around the 16th anniversary or a little bit later, and not fix the fundamental issues with like free-to-play expansion, or the Arc 1 free thing that we've been talking about for a while, and also allowing the cross-platform with PC, then I just think this is going to be dead on arrival. Let me know what you think though. Do you agree? Disagree? Let's have a discussion. As always, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and always remember to stay frenzy, and peace.